Coming up on the show, we could be just hours away from a key vote to force the release of the Epstein files. We're looking at what the release could mean from everyone involved and from every angle. Plus, one robocall a day. That's the average across Georgia, and the scams are only getting bolder. What you need to know to protect your money. And Starbucks is out with a new holiday drink, but there's only one place where you can find it. We'll let you know. This is The Take. Let's get it. Hello and welcome. I'm Chesley McNeil, and this is The Take, where we go above and beyond the headlines and we look at the why and how stories are impacting you and your community. We invite the experts in to share their take on today's top stories, and we try to have just a little bit of fun as well. Well, you're taking a live look at the U.S. Capitol, where House lawmakers are preparing for a high-stakes vote later today on whether to force the full release of the Jeffrey Epstein files. It's a rare moment of bipartisan pressure, and it could open the door to long-hidden details becoming public. At stake, thousands of documents, emails, travel logs tied to Epstein's trafficking network, many of them never seen before. Survivors and lawmakers say the files could reveal who enabled him and what investigators missed, and whether others can now be accountable. And with trafficking cases carrying no statute of limitations, the question now is whether this release could lead to new criminal exposure for anyone in Epstein's orbit. Defense attorney Daryl Cohen, we call him Uncle Daryl, back here with us to break down the vote on these files and what it could mean going forward. Welcome back to the show, Daryl.
Thanks very much, Chesley. It's good to be here.
All right.
Good morning.
Yeah, absolutely. When we look at the scope of these files, right, we talk about the names, the timeline, the financials, emails. What's the biggest risk for anyone connected to Epstein's network?
Exposure in capital letters and italics. He or she, mostly he, do not want to be associated with Epstein any more than they've already speculated that they may be. It's exposure.
Wow. So, this case spans decades. Legally, how do prosecutors deal with the aging evidence, old testimonies, or long timelines?
Well, let's face it, most of the people who should be indicted should be prosecuted. It's happened. And it may be not just most, it may be all. But what we're looking at are high-powered people, very visible people, who do not want to be associated with Epstein or anything about him. I mean, we've got the president who knows him. We've got other high-profile people who knows him. We've got Epstein, who took a very, what we would say, a cheap, inexpensive plea in Florida in early 2000s. We've got the Epstein who was arrested and prosecuted for other criminal activity. We've got the Epstein who committed suicide. And we've got nothing good about Epstein other than he's dead. But his death has led to a trail of who was involved, how were they involved, why were they involved. Yesterday, we saw Larry Summers resign. It's not going to get any better unless and until they release all of the documents. And then our conspiracy theorists may or may not be right, but they'll have something to talk about rather than just mere speculation.
Yeah. You talked about exposure. Talk to me about the legal risk for anyone named in these files once they become public.
Well, if they're named, and if they're just said he was there, he didn't do anything, then the risk is just, and I use the word just in italics, just the fact that he will lose his credibility. He would likely lose whatever elected position he's in or wants to be in. It's something that it's a stink that doesn't go away. It stays and it continues to fester. And so the longer it goes without any real evidence, one way or the other, just speculation, the worse it is. Let's get Congress, let it go. The president finally changed his mind and said, let it be. Yeah. Let's get it out there. So if we get it out there, we'll have a lot of people saying, I told you so, and others going, I don't know. I wish I knew what was in there.
You mentioned the president. You mentioned the president, right? He was once against it. Now he's saying, let's go, let's get it done. If his name is mentioned in there, what kind of legal exposure, if any, could it create for him?
There's two words there. It depends. And I think the president decided to have it released in that the mere speculation, the more you hide something, the more people want to know why. And so get it out there, put it on the public's eye, let them see whatever it is that he did with Epstein, for Epstein, to Epstein, or the girls that were involved. And those are the people that really are the tragedy. Those are the victims, not anybody else. It's those.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You keep talking. We're listening to you.
No, I'm not sorry.
I was going to ask you about the limitations, right? There are no limitations to this. What makes this kind of a crime that, right, opposed to some other crime that has limitations?
Well, almost every crime you have has a statute of limitations. Murder normally does not. Armed robbery, burglary, simple battery, hitting someone, all of those things have a statute of limitations so that legally people cannot be prosecuted. It doesn't stop people from talking. It doesn't stop social media, but it stops a prosecution, whether it's state or federal. Here, there is no statute of limitations. So theoretically, if some crime has been committed and there's adequate evidence to prosecute it, the U.S. Attorney's Office in one jurisdiction, wherever it is, will end up prosecuting it. That will happen. Mm-hmm. I don't see anything on a local level because the prosecutors, I don't think, want to get involved in this, or they shouldn't, in my view, because it's a lose-win situation or a win-lose situation. You've got half the people that will say, I told you so, and he should be, or they should be prosecuted. The others saying, leave him alone. Mm-hmm. So in that case, let it be or prosecute it. If there's serious evidence against one or more people, they should be prosecuted. If it's just mere speculation, then social media continues its merry way, and there are going to be 9,000 different views of what should or shouldn't happen.
Yeah. All right. Defense Attorney Darrell Cohen, or Uncle Darrell, as we like to call you. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much for the insight. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jesse. Take care and have a sunny day.
It will be. Speaking of a sunny day, folks, take a look at it. It's going to be a nice one out there. In fact, probably the nicest day of the week. You're looking at temperatures right around 72 degrees. That's above our average for this time of year, but we'll be well above our average as we head into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Those 3 days is where we could tie or break a record. Yes, we'll be mighty close, if not breaking that record. But you notice the clouds overhead as well. Clouds will start to fill in. So we'll be looking at the chance for showers around Friday evening going into Saturday as a cold front passes through the area. Now that front will drop our temperatures back down, but not to where we should be. We should be in the low 60s this time of year. We'll be in the low 70s by the time we start the work week next week, with the sunshine continuing around the forecast area. You're watching The Take, folks. Don't go anywhere. We're back right after this. Welcome back. Big day ahead for our nation's capital. Yeah, House lawmakers are expected to vote this afternoon to force the release of Justice Department's files on the Epstein investigation. The vote comes after Speaker Johnson and President Trump resisted calls to do so for months, saying it was unnecessary because of other investigations. The president has now reversed course, calling for the Republicans to vote on today's measure. Joining us now is NBC Washington correspondent Alice Barr. Hello, Alice. Do we know exactly what's in the Justice Department's Epstein files that lawmakers want to release?
Good morning, Chesley. Yeah, I mean, that is the big question. There have been quite a few disclosures already to this point. We've seen a number of emails that have come out from the Epstein estate and various releases, but this is the whole shebang. This is the full files, and that is exactly what those who've been pressing for this to be made public have been pushing for this whole time. In fact, it was a campaign promise from President Trump. So contained in these files could be financial records, probably more emails and texts from Epstein, potentially evidence from things like hard drives that were taken during searches of his properties. There may be information from interviews with other key players. And one thing that we won't see, very importantly, is the names of any of the survivors of abuse. But there's also a clause in here that allows the Justice Department to redact anything that might jeopardize an active federal investigation. And President Trump has just recently asked the Justice Department to open investigations into prominent Democrats who were also mentioned in the latest tranche of emails that came out. So there's some question about whether that kind of an investigation could lead to redactions in the larger files here.
Alice, we know that President Trump kind of resisted this thing for a while, and all of a sudden now he's turned this reversal. Do we know why the sudden change?
So the president had always said that he did not think it was necessary because there were other investigations ongoing. The House Oversight Committee has been releasing a number of those files that I just mentioned and has been doing its own investigation. And he and House Speaker Mike Johnson have been kind of in lockstep here. And Speaker Johnson has said that they both had the same concerns about protecting the identities of survivors who did not want their names to be made public. And that Speaker Johnson has said he didn't think that the way that the wording was phrased did enough to make sure that all that important personal information was going to be protected. He did say today that he felt like if this vote passes through the House, that the Senate would then have an opportunity to correct some of that language before it heads to President Trump's desk for his signature. And he has said now that he would sign it.
Yeah. All right. So if the House passes the bill, how quickly could the Senate act? And then how quickly could the public see these documents? Do you know?
So the Senate could act as soon as this week, assuming that the House does pass it today, which we are expecting that now that President Trump has given sort of his backing to the bill, that there could be a landslide vote in favor of this. One of the leading Republicans in the House said he thought just about everybody was going to vote for it. And to note, so I just laid out why President Trump and the House Speaker had opposed it in the past, but as for why the president changed course and said, go ahead to Republicans and vote for this, I think clearly the writing was on the wall. Once there was an extra Democrat sworn into the House last week, she was newly elected, and when they came back into session after the government shutdown ended, the first thing that she did after she was sworn in was to sign this petition that forced the vote that we're going to see on the floor this afternoon. And from that point, when it became clear that there was going to be a vote on the floor, that every lawmaker was going to have to put his or her name next to yes or no on releasing these files and this transparency that so many members of President Trump's base, so many people in both parties have been pushing for, it became clear that a lot of people were going to vote yes. And one conservative lawmaker has told NBC News that there were Republicans who were urging President Trump to change course once it became clear this was going to pass and he should be kind of on the right side of history with them.
Got it, Alice. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right, folks, we got plenty more stories for you. This is The Take. Don't go anywhere. We're back right after this. Last week, President Trump signed a sweeping new executive order aimed at overhauling America's foster care system with a focus on helping children transition into stable housing, education, and long-term support. The plan creates a national resource hub, expands community partnerships, and directs federal agencies to modernize how they track and assist foster youth. The White House says the goal is to ensure that no child ages out of care without a safety net.
As we make America great again, we are going to protect American children in foster care, and we're going to ensure that they will never, ever be forgotten. These children will never be forgotten, and they're going to grow up to be unbelievable, strong, smart, wealthy, productive citizens.
And those promises now raise big questions about what this will look like on the ground, especially here in Georgia. All right, time to welcome back to the Take Root Family Services CEO Allison Ash. Welcome back to the show. Help us to break down this initiative that what it means for families, foster parents, and young people and age out of care. At the ground level, Allison, what's most significant about the part of this new federal initiative?
Well, I feel like what's most significant about it is the fact that it happened. Over the past several years, we've seen a heightened attention not only to children in foster care, but children aging out of foster care. There's been a number of initiatives that have happened here in the state of Georgia, including the Fostering Success Act. And now to see a federal executive order that supports these vulnerable young people, both in foster care and aging out of foster care, is really exciting for us in the community and in the provider community.
Yeah. Does this executive order fill the gaps in Georgia's foster care system?
There's a lot of good content in the executive order, and there are gaps that it fills, especially in the area of education. The order, often children aging out of foster care get a lot of support if they're pursuing 2-year or 4-year degrees, and the order includes credentialing programs and apprenticeships and kind of certifications, things that young people can get in a in a quicker fashion. It doesn't fill all the gaps, though. There's not really anything in the executive order about access to mental health, which is a huge issue for all children, but certainly for children who have had the traumatic experience of interfacing with the child welfare system.
Yeah, we understand that roughly 500 young people age out of care each year. Which part of this new initiative would directly help them?
The educational piece is really significant for them. It provides that currently there's educational vouchers that support young people aging out of care that are pursuing 2- and 4-year degrees. This executive order does extend that to apprenticeships and credentialing programs. There's also a platform that's going to be created due to the executive order where young people can find resources. So if a young person ages out of the foster care system and they choose not to stay engaged with the Department of Family and Children's Services, they're really on their own. They are on their own looking for education. They're on their own looking for mentorship, looking for housing. Often they don't even know what a lease is, but they're trying to find an apartment. So this online platform will give them a place where they can go and find organizations like Well-Root Family Services.
Yeah, Allison, I got about a minute left. I want to ask you this. The initiative calls for stronger partnerships and community-based community and faith-based organizations to help out. What role will groups like yours, Well-Root, play in making this policy real?
Well, I think what's exciting about it is it looks for stronger partnerships between faith-based organizations, partnerships with educational institutions that can help us ensure that we get appropriate education for young people. Also, that we can do research and evaluation on the practices that we're implementing. And it calls for partnerships with the private sector. And that's huge because we need employment for these young people. We need our companies to step up and be able and willing to provide supported employment. And in Metro Atlanta, we have a lot of Fortune 500 businesses, and we need those businesses to step up and be willing to partner with us to get these young people on the right path.
Yeah. Allison Ash, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much for your insight today.
Thanks for having me again. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. All right. My pleasure could be the new motto for Target stores in an attempt to gain more customers. Will it work? We'll discuss coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Target is rolling out a new way to connect with shoppers. They're going to do more eye contact, more greeting, more help on the floor. It's part of a bigger push to rebuild in-store experience and win back customers after a tough sales year. The new 10-4 engagement rule says employees are trained to smile, wave, and make eye contact within 10 feet of a shopper. And then they must verbally greet customers and offer assistance once they're up close at about 4 feet. The policy rolled out to more than 2,000 stores and is part of a broader turnaround effort after in-store sales dipped more than 3% last quarter. So what does this change in signal mean about retail and where it's headed? Will shoppers respond to this? Let's bring in friend of the show, consumer expert Morgan Ward. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
All right. What does this tell us about how retail is trying to reconnect with customers in this online dominated shopping era that we're in?
They're trying to reconnect with customers. They're sort of engineering friendliness from customer service people to the customer itself by mandating how the customer service people interact with their customers. As you said, at 10 feet, I think they need to make eye contact, smile, wave, and then at 4 feet, they have to verbally greet and then ask if they need any help. That is, if the customer needs any help. So they think that they can make people feel more welcome, more helped, and hopefully that would lead to people having, a more positive experience in Target, maybe being coming back into the stores and being brand loyal. That's the idea.
Morgan, I would think that they would have to do this anyway, or maybe they should be doing this anyway. But does the interaction like this move the needle at all?
It's such an important and good question. One thing is, a lot of times when you go into Target, you don't want to have 5 different customer experiences. That's not how we've been taught to navigate Target. So it's a question mark whether this is a problem that customers diagnose themselves. And it could come across as a little inauthentic, if you're interacting with people constantly. So I can see customers having question marks. Of course, being well respected and engaged in a store is always positive for customers. I think it's going to be how this rolls out and how customers perceive those new kinds of interactions that will decide whether this is effective.
Seems like this approach works better when it comes to maybe food service, but does it work better in other environments, better than maybe retail?
Possibly better in retail, and maybe in different kinds of retail when you want a more hands-on experience. If you're in a luxury store and you want that moment-to-moment help. I don't know. Target really is a place that people browse and kind of have their own personal engagement with products. So it may just not be the right environment, and that might just not be what customers are looking for. But I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, it seems like a bit scary. Like I'm shopping, and why are you looking at me? A little bit scary. Target is signaling. Are they signaling something bigger here on how they want to differentiate themselves from Walmart or say Amazon or any other retail?
I think that Target has always thought of itself as more customer forward, more friendly, more engaging with customers, certainly than a Walmart or even Amazon, where you don't talk to anybody. But I don't think that customers say that they walk into a Target store and feel neglected. So maybe customers will like this more. Maybe it will be a source of differentiation. People always say they want to give the best customer service, and that's actually really hard in such a customer service saturated market like ours. So maybe this will make a difference.
We'll see. Bottom line, Target if it get it right, what's the biggest change that shoppers will actually feel when it comes to this 10-4 approach?
Well, I think they will have to do less personal navigation, and maybe they'll be more led to each product or sort of shown products by the staff. So maybe it'll be a less solitary consumption experience and more interactive. I could see that being the case.
Okay. Hopefully they don't hover too much. We'll see. We'll see if it works. Morgan Ward, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Schemes in Georgia are becoming more and more aggressive. We're going to discuss what you need to do and what you need to look out for coming up. Don't go anywhere. This is The Take. We're back right after this. New data shows how aggressive these schemes across Peachtree State have been. On average, each Georgian got about one robocall every day in 2024. In the first quarter of the previous year, there were 437 reports of fraud incidents per 100,000 people, topping all states. In 2023, Georgia consumers reported over 65,000 scams in 2023, accounting for roughly $2.1 million loss per 1,000 residents. Wow. Here now to help us avoid some of these schemes is Matt Mazzico. He is the general manager at Anomo Robo. Well, hello, Matt. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
All right. Why are these schemers or scammers becoming more aggressive right now?
Well, it's kind of two things. So this year, it's obviously been the government shutdown. We haven't had any enforcement going on for the past month or so, which makes it kind of a tempting target. And then the second thing is every year about this time when we go into things like Medicare open enrollment, tax season, Christmas season, people waiting to get packages and stuff like that. What that does is that just brings these guys out in spades because they know that people are anxious, that there are all these things that are urgent to them. And when you get anxious and when you get urgent, you tend to make bad decisions.
And we hear this about these scams. Urgency is really the main key. Is that still the focus, especially when we talk about fraud nationally? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it really is. They're trying to get you to think that you got to do something quickly. They often couple that with the threat of financial loss. You put those two together and it's a bad recipe.
Is it still our more seasoned, folks that are more at risk with this, or is it the young people who are online more?
That's a great question. So typically we have been focused on those more seasoned people. However, with the way that young people really are gravitating toward both these messaging apps that can't be really controlled, say, by your phone company, so things like WhatsApp or Telegram, and the proliferation of cash apps like Venmo and Cash App and Zelle, you put those two things together and the fraudsters have figured out a lot of tools that they basically can spin up almost instantly in those environments. It's really unregulated there. So you click on one wrong link, for example, in an app like Telegram, and you could find your bank account being siphoned. It's kind of like the wild, wild west in some of those places.
Wow. Matt, are we at a point now where you really just can't tell anymore? Like somebody could take my voice, call my mother and use it to scam her. Is that where we are?
Well, it's headed that direction and it feels kind of scary, but with companies like mine at Nomorobo, and also just the industry in general, and of course the FCC and the FTC, now that the shutdown's over, we are working very hard to try to solve these problems. We have heard, rightly so, I think, from consumers that they feel, just like you said, that it almost feels like we can't protect ourselves, and what are we going to do? And everybody is kind of putting their best foot forward and trying really hard, but we all still need to continue to remain vigilant and be very skeptical of the things that cross our wires, so to speak.
Yeah, talking about being careful. Are callback traps more common? Are they becoming a little bit more common? And if they are, what should people do when they receive one?
They are still out there. I don't know if I'd say they're becoming more or less common, but we saw a number of these, for example, during the shutdown with regard to SNAP benefits. People calling you and saying that if you get this call, that means you're eligible for free SNAP money, but if you don't call right back, you're not going to get that free SNAP money. Again, urgency and financial loss, or gain in this case, I guess. But yes, trying to get you to call back to some other number, and who knows where that number is, who knows going to answer, who knows how much it's going to cost you, all of those sorts of things.
So what steps should our viewers take right now to be aware of any schemes or scams that target them?
Well, one great thing to do is obviously stay, tuned to whatever social networks you are on. And if you see something there, take a look at what it is. And if if you encounter one of these things, share it with your friends. At Nomorobo, we have a great resource we call Nomorobo Fraud Fighters, which you can find on our website, nomorobo.com, which lists all of the latest scams, kind of what to say, what not to say, what they're trying to do, gives you some strategy and advice. And that's a good place to start as well. And also, use an app like ours, use an app like someone else's to protect yourselves, because all of these apps do a really good job. And in fact, we're giving ours away for free this week for Fraud Awareness Week. So anyone who goes to nomorobo.com/free can get our top of the line app, Android or iOS, for free for a year, kind of as our way of saying, hey, we heard you and we want to help you out.
There it is, especially for this time of year. Matt, thanks so much. Really appreciate that, and a good resource for people to use.
Thank you for having me.
All right, take care. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back right after this.
Restoring integrity to medicine, restoring faith in public health, and we are restoring balance to the lives of millions of women who have been ignored for too long. And that's what it means to make America healthy again.
Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy announcing the removal of long-standing black box warning for many hormone replacement therapies. The shift comes as newer evidence shows that the risks are far lower for healthy women in their 40s and 50s who start treatment earlier in menopause. Let's bring in Dr. Mary Dolan from the Emory School of Medicine to help us cut through the headlines and understand what it really means for these women. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. And thank you for covering this information.
Absolutely.
That's so important for so many women.
Absolutely. Doc, in your view, why is this such a significant shift in women in midlife?
Well, this is a small step forward because there's been so much fear surrounding the use of hormones and breast cancer.
What's the biggest misconception when it comes to women and still have about hormone replacement therapy?
Well, the biggest misconception, I think, is that it's the fountain of youth. So it will not stop aging, but it can help in healthier aging. So women are living longer now, and you may spend up to 30 or 40% of your life after menopause. So we've got to start thinking about how to live a healthy life during that time. And there's lots of changes that happen at menopause that affect the heart and the bones and other systems. So it's not just about, hot flashes.
So what's the first question a woman should ask their provider at that first menopause visit?
Are you menopause certified?
Good question.
Have you had special training and interest? Women can go to menopause.org and search for providers that are menopause certified. Because of this study and its publication in 2002, there's 20 plus years of providers who have not been educated on hormone use, and there's been a lot of fear. So I think that it's important to find a provider that has really focused in on treatment of midlife and menopausal women in order to get kind of a review of your options. And I'm not saying hormones are for everybody, but women, when they know their options, they can make great decisions.
Yeah. When you're talking to patients, what risks do you still flag, and how do you help them understand the real numbers rather than fear?
Well, I think that it still is kind of an individual conversation depending upon the person's past history and what their goals are. So I think it really is individualized in terms of when we talk about risks. There are certain risks where we wouldn't consider hormones as an option, like if they've had an estrogen sensitive cancer, if they have bleeding that's, from unknown etiology, if they've had a history of blood clot, stroke, uncontrolled hypertension. There's still a lot of things we like to try to optimize their existing health in terms of talking about the options. But we have a lot more options now, not just hormones, for a lot of the menopausal symptoms.
Okay, so we got about 30 seconds left. Should more women be considering hormone replacement therapy now that the warning has been taken off, or is it still a case-by-case decision?
I think they should be considering speaking to a provider that's menopause certified that can help them know about their options and make the right choices. And I do want to put in a plug for the use of vaginal hormone therapy, which is safe for symptoms that are associated with, vaginal atrophy and thinning.
All right. Dr. Dolan, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much for your insight.
Thank you for, exposing this, and really appreciate the time.
Not a problem. Take care. All right, beginning next year, you may have to dig a little bit deeper into the mail items through the United States Postal Office. CNN's Maribel Aber joins us now from the NASDAQ market site in New York. Good morning, Maribel.
Hey, good morning, Chesley.
What can you tell us about this price hike?
Let's break it down. The U.S. Postal Service will increase shipping prices next year to adjust for inflation and market conditions. Priority Mail and Priority Mail Express will cost up to 7% more, while Ground Advantage will rise nearly 8%. Now, the price of stamps will stay the same, and holiday shipping costs will not be impacted. Regulators, though, must still approve the changes, but they're expected to take effect in mid-January. Chesley.
Oh, man. Okay. All right. So Thanksgiving is right around the corner. You and I have talked about this before, and how much you're going to make for me and send to me. That's the good news. But people will be traveling, trying to get away. And that means holiday travel will be busier than ever, right?
Yeah, I mean, elbow to elbow, AAA says holiday travelers should expect record crowds on the roads and in the sky this year. It predicts nearly 82 million people will travel at least 50 miles from home during the Thanksgiving travel period. That's 1.6 million more than last year. At least 73 million will go by car, 6 million by plane. Concerns over air travel cancellations, though, in the wake of the government shutdown could mean some flyers will switch to driving. The travel period runs from the Tuesday before Thanksgiving through December 1st. Chesley.
All right. So with Thanksgiving around the corner, many people may be looking to lose weight after that, right? If they're looking to pay for weight loss drugs, it may be a better option, right?
Well, Danish drug maker Novo Nordisk is lowering the price of its weight loss drugs Wegovy and Ozempic by $150. So for people paying in cash, the monthly price drops to $349 from $499. A new patient promotion offers $199 a month for the first 2 treatments until March 31st next year. Now, this comes days after the company and its rival, Eli Lilly, struck deals with the Trump administration to make GLP-1 meds more affordable. This includes some Medicare coverage of obesity drugs, as well as a discounted medicines on the government's new direct-to-consumer website launching in January. Full details are on the Ozempic and Wegovy websites. Chesley.
You're laughing at me. I plan to lose some weight, Maribel. I do. I'm going to try to do something.
Hey, I'm on it too. You got to walk. You got to do the things.
That's right. Tell us about this Starbucks Target team up.
Okay, well, they're teaming up for an exclusive holiday drink. A frozen peppermint hot chocolate is now available at Starbucks cafes inside Target stores. So both retailers, they've been struggling amid tumbling consumer sentiment due to inflation and tariffs. Target is looking to boost in-store traffic following recent layoffs. Starbucks is in the middle of a reorganization under its new CEO, who has overseen a number of store closures this year. The retailers are hoping to drum up excitement with the new drink, saying the frozen frap is the perfect companion for holiday shopping runs. And Chesley, I know you got to get through Thanksgiving first, but I don't need a holiday drink to drum up the excitement. We have 5 Thursdays to go to Christmas.
That's absolutely right. We got to get it done. Maribel, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate you. All right. Dunwoody is getting ready to host families for its Village Holiday Celebration. Promises to be bigger and better this year. We're going to talk to the executive director coming up. We are getting closer and closer and closer, and Dunwoody is kicking off its holidays with lanterns and lights and even a mini farm as part of the annual Village Holiday Celebration. The event is back, bigger, brighter, and spread out across the entire shopping district this year. Let's bring in Rosemary Watts, the executive director of Create Dunwoody, to walk us through what families can expect. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, Rosemary, talk to us about this big time event you got coming up and for the holiday season.
Yeah, this is an amazing event that we've got. I Create Dunwoody. I do arts and culture for the city of Dunwoody, and our primary purpose is for economic development. So this event is a perfect example of something that we do with the Dunwoody Alliance, the Merchant Alliance. So basically, we have about 35 businesses in the greater Dunwoody area, which includes the village, the plaza, and the shops of Dunwoody, the whole span that goes across 3 different commercial areas. And we will have 35 different businesses participating. So each business does their own activity. We have Santa, we've got a mini farm, we've got a little artisan market, and then we'll do performances right in the middle of the whole center. And we have Santa coming down, elves roaming around, and our Dunwoody High School amazing Principal Bass is going to be the MC for our event. So it is going to be a huge, exciting thing. It's only our second year doing it, but the first year was fabulous. And we just expect this one to be even bigger and better.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, how long you've been doing it, but you told us that, how long you've been doing it. And talk to me about how this strengthens really the connection between residents and local businesses throughout that village area.
Yeah, I mean, it's really the businesses want to reach out to the community and get people in and get the whole area activated. You know, for years, there just wasn't a whole lot of cross going from one area to the other. People just went to their one location and left. Well, this is a way to engage everyone to go into all the different areas in the village. I mean, there's something exciting in every little corner. So it's really a place for the community to come together to watch these performances by local groups. We've got about eight different music groups, from violins to dancers, that really bring people together, and then just culminating with the lighting of the tree and the snowflakes that we've put up with. Our Dunwoody is doing a holiday headquarters, trying to get people in to see all the fabulous things we have to do. So it is a huge community event for us.
Wow. For a family attending the first time, maybe they didn't make it last year, what should they expect when they arrive?
So they will go to one of the locations, and we've got these great maps. There's going to show you all the different things that you can do. So you can check off 2 out of each different area that we have, each of the 3 areas that we have. Go around and check everything out and come back to the Create Dunwoody table, and we give them a prize. It's almost like a little scavenger hunt. You go, check these things off. And we also have this lantern decorating workshop. So 2 different locations where people can go and decorate. And right before the lighting of the tree, we'll do a little lantern parade. We'll have huge prizes. We've got tons of prizes donated by all the local organizations and businesses. So they'll be able to get up on stage, show off their lanterns, we'll give out the prizes. There's just lots to do, and this map will kind of show them where everything is and how to get to everything, and they can get to the website and see all the performances.
Is this the first year for the mini farm? And if so, how does that fit into the whole Christmas theme there? Because when I first read it, I said, a mini farm? Talk to me about that.
Yeah. I got this idea from going to other events, and this is a little petting farm. This is the first time we've done it. And it is a way, again, to activate another part of the area that wasn't part of this event last year. So the Shops of Dunwoody is going to have this petting farm with artisans all on the sidewalks, so we can get people over to that area, because we want to have something interesting for them. What is the reason to bring them over there? That plus the lantern workshops, plus 3 or 4 of the businesses are actually opening their doors for free hot cider, apple cider, and cookie decorating, and ornament decorating. So that is just one of the things that are trying to bring people over there.
Ah, and so that, what type of animals will you have in there? Do you know? Can you reveal that?
You know, I'm not sure what they're going to bring, but I have been to them before, and they have little rabbits, little cows, little miniature, just little miniature farm animals. Yeah, and we also have lots of volunteers coming. I mean, Dunwoody High School, amazing. They're bringing DECA people and Hope people from their organizations. The Dunwoody National Charity League is coming, and they're bringing tons of volunteers. So it really truly is a community effort and event, and we call it the Dunwoody Village. It takes a village to make all these things happen. We're so excited.
Sounds great. I may be stopping by. Rosemary Watts, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah,
really
I hope you do.
All right.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yep, take care. If you want to go to this event, this is happening this Sunday from 3 to 7 p.m. in the greater Dunwoody Village area. This is at the intersection of Chamblee and Dunwoody Road and Mount Vernon Road. Best part, it's free to attend. Yes, free 99. We always love that. Another look at your forecast plus my final take right after the break. Stay right there. Happening today, it's election day for voters in parts of Fulton and Cobb counties. Polls will open to decide who will replace State Senator Jason Estevez. Estevez stepped down in September as he ramped up for his campaign for governor. This is video of a roundtable that he hosted last night with some local education leaders. 6 candidates are on the ballot in alphabetical order. They are Roger Bruce, Jaha Howard, Corinza Harris, Erica Denise Solomon, Josh Talbert, and John Williams. All right, it's a good day to get out and vote as well because, well, the weather is nice and it will be very pleasant as we head into the afternoon. Started out on the cool side, may need to grab a jacket or, one of those vests that you wear, those vest puffers. I may want to wear that at least early on, but once we get to the afternoon, it'll be mighty nice. Temperatures will be very comfortable at 72 degrees, 78 degrees on Wednesday. Now we'll have about a 20% chance for an isolated shower. I think that'll be mainly in the North Georgia mountains. Some of that could make its way down toward the metro area. I think a lot of it will fall apart. We'll hold on to those clouds, but temperatures will be very warm, temperatures in the 80s, or at least close to 80 for the next couple of days. All right, here's a question that comes up, especially around the holidays. Is it rude to ask your guests to remove their shoes before they come into your home? Well, it's a debate that seems to be a bit controversial, more so than what I thought, living in snowy Buffalo for the last couple of years. But removing your shoes may be a bit out of the ordinary, especially when it comes to etiquette experts. They say it's rude to ask people to remove their shoes. One expert found that, and the founder of a protocol school says that although there's often good reasons to ask people to remove their shoes, health reasons, maybe dirt that you track in, that kind of thing, she says, I highly discourage it. Why? Experts say you stand to offend your guests when they come into the house, and it's really all about comfortability from both sides. So I get it. If you have to remove your shoes, maybe it's maybe a rude thing to ask, or people just catch them off guard. So experts suggest that you message people beforehand before they come into your house, or you get good doormats to wipe their feet, or good absorbing rugs before they enter. You let people know in advance, or you have fresh socks by the door where you give them fresh socks. Seems a bit strange to me, but I get both sides. At the end of the day, it's your house. And so whatever makes you comfortable, that's what you have to do. You may have to turn away a guest or two, but you have to be comfortable, folks. And then do you really want their feet on your floors? I don't know. It's a lot to think about. And sometimes it's uncomfortable. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a great day.